Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Tommy Richman, Coyote. I'll freely admit that the sort of viral success Tommy Richman found could be as much of a curse as it is a blessing. $1 Million Baby screamed fluke hit by every margin, with a shaggy 80s R&B inflected sound that didn't match much with anything in the mainstream, maybe only tenuous parallels to Steve Lacy, Mac DeMarco, and Brent Faiyaz. Now the funny thing is that I had a comparison almost immediately with Nourished by Time, especially with the more off-kilter delivery and the production and the oddball swagger, but even then, when Devil Is a Lie came as the follow-up single, I figured this guy was a one and done. But then I kept hearing that Tommy Richman was staying marginally independent and wasn't putting either song on his new album, and that felt insane given the streaming totals would be essential to boosting Billboard position, and it also gave me the impression there could be more to this guy on the album, and I think that's half true, because Coyote has the feel of being more interesting and developed to beat some lower expectations set up by the catchy singles without reaching much higher. It feels considerably more low stakes, like an independent throwback to 80s R&B, blended with a smattering of gauzy hypnagogic pop and spare hip-hop that just so happen to catch more attention, for better and for worse. And thus you get the interesting juxtaposition of Tommy Richman nakedly trying to vocally imitate the higher vocal runs and yelps of a Michael Jackson or a Prince, where you gotta wonder if he's also drawing some inspiration from The Weeknd's Same Points, but with way less polish and way less of a budget, which is a lot more reminiscent of the 80s R&B freestyle movement that could never really match the bombast of that era's pop, but had a certain shaggy swing to it. There's a lot less song structure, the synths sound a little cheaper and blockier, reminiscent of the 80s R&B that skipped easy listening in that pipeline and got a little stranger, maybe even started borrowing a bit from hip-hop right before New Jack Swing, and that was a very limited niche of R&B at that time, as folks tended to forget there was some tangible animosity between what all the kids were into with their hip-hop and a more respectable genre with R&B, even as they kind of dabble with dance music as well. And this places the limitations of Tommy Richman in stark view. As a singer, he stumbles off key as often as he hits those vocal runs, but it becomes clear that the slapdash attempts are part of the charm, where if he strikes gold in a hook or groove, the luster is all the brighter in contrast, like the preening, shimmering disco of Temptations, or the glittery crooning of Give It All or Thought You Were the One, or the meteor swagger of Letterman that translates into a more textured Green Therapy, at least until the album slips in some more towards modern trap progressions and the percussion choices and the cadence, and some of that nostalgic swagger just evaporates for me. Even if the posse cut Tennessee wound up working way better than it had any right to, although for me some of that might be reminiscent of the hazy indie rap that I come to like with all of those rough edges against the flute and the synth bass. Of course, the problem is that for as much of a vibe as this album might set, idiosyncratic as it is, it's hard to get a feel for who Tommy Richman actually is as an artist. For as much as this album wants to cultivate those wannabe player vibes, it gets more interesting when you realize just how often Tommy Richman does not stick the landing and can't even really flex that much in the meantime. So he's stuck on the fringes, he's trying to put in the work, and this is where the sonic comparison to someone like Nourished by Time really hurts him. Because not only are the hooks there just way more consistent, there's that added thought and thematic depth and flair in performance that Tommy Richman really can't approach. And when he tries on the final third of the album with the blocky mantras of Vanity as he tries to get his Prince on, or on the shockingly strong pattering dance jam Seems Like Time Moves Forever that gives me some Toro y Moi vibes, look, if you go deeper, it's kind of flimsy at best. But as a whole, this was better than I thought it would be, but I don't expect it to stick around very long. It feels carried by production more than any performance or the writing, which really was the make or break issues with the singles, come to think of it. And that can leave the album feeling kind of lightweight. I'd call it generally decent, but for as much as Tommy Richman has the pretensions towards deeper art, the fact that $1 Million Baby could have easily been on this album, and I wouldn't have blinked, I think that speaks volumes. That's all. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more, please be sure to like, share, drop comments, subscribe, I don't know how many Tommy Richman fans are out there, but again, I was more positive on this than I frankly expected I would be, and I'm curious where all of y'all fall on this, especially given his newfound breakthrough and an attempt at an interesting sound. I know the Nourished by Time comparisons might be a bit unfair, but I mean, they are what they are. They're right there. Beyond that, though, anything else I might be able to do to improve for my presentation, I'm all ears. And if you want to get involved in helping support the channel, link to my Patreon is over there, or if you want something more convenient to this platform, please also check out YouTube memberships. Don't feel obligated, tough times, but the options are available. Till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.